Like some of the corporations or some of the people who are organizing events would still go for names like Bien or Bensoul or whoever over like the names of the, I don't want to like single out people, but like the names of the people who do really well on Spotify, right? And there's a reason for that. So we're still very far away from a time when those numbers will and I think it's just because most of these like high streaming artists in the Kenyan industry on Spotify are getting those numbers internationally, which is a good thing, by the way. But it's when we're just talking about our local market, it's not a reflection of what's going on the ground, which is why I guess you'll have a lot of people saying Hatumjui.
Baby. Tulianza safari ya Alhamdulillah, tukaomba tufike inshallah. Binadamu anapanga, shetani anapangua. Alhamdulillah tumefika mashallah. Mashallah. Binadamu anapanga na Mungu anaamua. Alhamdulillah tumefika mashallah.
Yo, what's up and welcome to episode 128 of the 30% podcast. I go by the name Afamefuna. My co-host goes by the name Sam Are. And you guys are the greatest listener base in the entire planet. We are back with another edition of this music industry podcast. And Sam, how are you?
Chilling. I'm all right. I am all right.
You're chilling.
I am
chilling.
It's cold, so I'm chilling. I'm okay.
I have a question for you, Sam.
Oh, we're doing
I'm
one
good.
Of those. Okay. Here we go.
So Sam, are you ready to answer this question? This question is very important. So many people have been talking about it on the internet. And I want to hear your thoughts, Sam. So, do you think 100 men can defeat one gorilla?
Stay off TikTok.
No, this no, it's not TikTok even, it's Twitter. This is a Twitter conversation. And I want to hear your thoughts, Sam. The people want to know if you think 100 men can defeat
so many
one
TikToks
gorilla.
on and think pieces and deep dives as to why 100 men can't defeat 100 men. Of course, could take a gorilla. Gorilla is not that strong. It's not that strong.
Gorillas are strong. Gorillas are really strong.
Look, visualize 100 men. Okay, think about 100 men. And of course, we're not talking about like, they're not all gym bros, right? We're just talking about like regular, like go to town and then
we're just talking about guys.
A square
just
of
regular
men
guys.
And 100 men. I think 100 men could very well. I think 50 men could defeat a gorilla. I think 20 men could defeat a gorilla. The internet is blowing it out of proportion.
No. Sorry. 20 men cannot defeat a gorilla.
20 men can defeat a gorilla. A gorilla is strong. Do we know?
And we're talking about people fighting with bare hands. There's no weapons, there's nothing. This is bare hands, fists, and limbs.
Look, here's a game plan. 3 of them grab one arm. You want to tell me a gorilla will be able to defeat
you won't even be able to hold one arm.
Listen.
You seen
3
gorillas?
grab one arm.
Sam, if a gorilla decides to end you, it's ending
wait.
you.
3 grab one arm, 3 grab the other arm, and then 5 or 6 just wrap themselves around the leg, right? A gorilla's neck it doesn't move much. So once you tie it down, once you neutralize its limbs, it's useless. 20 men could do that. 20 men are strong. 20 men could lift a car. So I don't know why we're talking.
20 men are not defeating a gorilla. Now, 100 men I can see how 100 men might defeat a gorilla, but 20 men are 100% not defeating a gorilla. You will get
20
smoked.
men are
Those
so going to
gorillas
defeat a gorilla.
can throw you in the air with one hand.
I don't think you see 20. Visualize 20 men.
Sam, I am using my powers of visualization right now, and they are telling me that 20 men get smoked by a gorilla.
Have you ever seen a gorilla live? Have you seen a gorilla live? Have you been to the Congo?
I have, but I haven't seen like the big, like silverback, like, you know, those big gorillas. You know what I mean? I haven't seen those ones, but I've seen them on videos and stuff like that, and those things are massive. If those things decide to use their,
they're crazy.
If they decide to use their power for whatever, we are finished. We are finished. And then also, you have to remember, they're not over the death of Harambe. So they also have that, like, no, it's true.
They have a chip on their shoulder. They have some revenge to do.
Yeah, they have some revenge, man.
What if Harambe was a sacrifice? What if he was not like he was the Barnabas? Was it the? Oh no! Look what I'm doing. Look what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
Look what I'm doing. All right, no, just forget about that. That's not the analogy I wanted to say.
No, but anyway,
what if it was a sacrifice?
Personally, well, I don't think it was a sacrifice. But anyway, personally, I think 100 men can defeat a gorilla, but not 20. Definitely not 20.
Well, apart from that. I don't know. I think 20 men can easy. Light work, man.
Wholeheartedly disagree with you. But if you're listening to this and you agree with Sam or agree with me, please let us know. But yeah, man, I think you had asked me how I am. I'm doing fine as well. Aside from thinking about the philosophical implications of whether men can defeat gorillas, I have been spending my time making music.
Oh my goodness!
Working.
Just imagine someone sitting down and like, I really want
that. What we really need is Bilu and Zias, like, thinking about this and kind of breaking it down for the rest of us. So Bilu and Zias are like two YouTubers who they gained prominence by reacting to music back in the day, but nowadays they have like a lot of attention on them because they just they come up with the dumbest theories. The other day they were trying to see what's faster, sound or light, and the way they were testing it out was Zias was holding a phone and then he'll turn on the torch and shout at the same time, and Bilu was supposed to figure out which
that
one.
Sounds like the kind of thing you'd be that just sounds like your content. What's going on with this, man?
Oh yeah, that's my content.
That sounds like something you'd enjoy.
Bro, but that's the thing though, man. Like, it's interesting because low key, if you didn't know all this information about things, see, that's how you would try and test it. Like, you'd try and test which one is faster in that manner. So
it's like the poor man's Mythbusters. That's what it sounds like.
The poor man's Mythbusters.
That's what it sounds like.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sam, let's talk about more music industry related topics, because clearly that's what our audience is here for. And there is one thing that I want to give big congratulations and a huge shout out to Mr. Idd Aziz, man. So as you guys know, Idd Aziz is a very, very popular Kenyan artist, mostly known for his work on the electronic side of things. Yeah, Afro house side of things. He's lent his amazing vocals to so many DJs in Europe and America and all these places, and even South Africa.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of, spread that Kenyan sound using his vocals. And then, like, now underneath, we have all this unique production from all these different places. And because of his hard work and because he releases so much music, I feel like almost every week there's an
like
Idd
two
Aziz song.
I was counting. He has over
Yeah,
10,
or two.
10 singles that is released this year alone.
Bro
His
is
work rate is
working,
incredible.
man. And so it only makes sense to see that he has been, well, not announced, but like you can see that from the statistics, that he's the third Kenyan artist to reach over 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify. And that's a big deal. Behind Sophia Nzau, who had a similar pathway to Idd Aziz, and Barbara Wangoi, who we talked about in a previous podcast. And so I also want to give him, his congratulations or his accolades don't stop there. No, they don't, Sam. They don't stop there. Because Idd Aziz also managed to perform in Coachella.
That's kind of crazy.
That's
cool.
Big, man.
That's really
Shout
cool.
out to Idd Aziz, man.
Yeah.
Bro, coming up, I've always like looked at Coachella as like the marquee event that artists wanna perform at.
Really?
Like,
I haven't paid much attention to Coachella.
yeah. So that's the thing though. Coachella now is a very different thing to Coachella like in 2016. Right? Like back in the day, Coachella used to have like so much like weight. Everyone used to be like Coachella, Coachella, Coachella. But now it's just like a little bit like less. Even the marketing of it isn't as big. But anyway, I think it's still a big deal that Idd Aziz managed to perform at Coachella. And yeah, man, just wanted to give him what his flowers.
His flowers. That's. I mean, he puts in so much work. He releases a lot, man, and his formula, the formula he uses that allows for that to happen. Like he's just a producer wherever Timbuktu sends him a beat, like an Afro house joint, like this. I think this is fire. And then he probably knocks these out in like 10, 20, 30 minutes, honestly. Because if you listen to his music, it's not very complex. And so he's figured out a way to properly maximize himself as an artist, which is, I mean, and if you're charging for each of those, which I'm pretty sure he is, that's man, no, it's good.
It's
work.
like
It's
an
good to see.
infinite money glitch,
Yeah,
bro.
it's good to see.
Like it's just like sit in the house for a week and make 50 different vocal packs and then sell them, and then all of a sudden you're on the biggest songs, and it's just like wow, you know what I mean? So
I mean,
I love that. Mhm.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think a lot of his releases are not necessarily just vocal packs. I think a lot of releases are more custom things where he connects and it's
That's even better.
yeah. Which is
even
it's
better.
cool. No, it's cool to see. Coachella is a big deal for an artist. Of course, we do the whole. It's a big deal for an artist, especially here, just because of the exposure. You know, him being as much as he's not part of the mainstream conversation, just him being from Kenya would definitely turn a couple of people's eyes to what we have going on here. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is why I wanted to bring this up at the beginning of the podcast, because, and I wanted to link these two stories. There was a report that I read recently that Kenyan music surges globally with 95 million first-time Spotify listeners in 2024. And Idd Aziz would be a big component or proponent for this to be the case. Now, in this article, it says that locally, interest in Kenyan music has skyrocketed. Domestic consumption has grown by an extraordinary 277% over the past 3 years, while music exports have increased by 94% in the same period. And then they also say these figures demonstrate that Kenyan music is no longer just a regional phenomenon, but a significant player on the global stage. And these comments, or rather, Spotify head of music for Africa, Fiona Okumu, says that the growth both domestically and internationally creates opportunities for Kenyan artists and the broader cultural economy. So people like Idd Aziz are a huge part of this conversation. Now, you look at and I'm coming to my final point, you look at the conversations now, like a lot of these publications of like Idd Aziz surpassing 1 million and performing at Coachella are posted onto publications like Nairobi Gossip Club. And you look at the comment sections, and Sam, I kid you not, it's a bunch of people just being like,
Who is bro?
Hatumjui. Yeah.
Who is
ni
this?
nani? Hatumjui. I don't know who this person is. I swear. You look at all the
man.
comments and it's just like it's so discouraging. It's a bunch of people saying, like, somebody says, who is this dude? Ju, what I know is that Kenyan Kurais Kamsani Nihad. He also gives a example of Nikita Kering, who he in his opinion doesn't get enough like shine. Another person says Walai Simjui. And bro, somebody says he gotta be buying those streams for real. I'm sure a third of Kenyans doesn't know him. Which isn't good English, but still.
See, my
But
now,
here's the
with all those comments now, my human beings, there's such a main character syndrome about us. Like it's ridiculous because that individual who's typing all of that, right, thinks that their tastes are representing the entire
of the whole
the entire music industry, and you can't convince them otherwise because it's social media, it's a lot of things, because you see these artists everywhere and you're seeing publications about them, the stories, salacious stories and other stories. And so you think that you think the most visible artist is the one that's doing the best. And that's almost
the best.
never the case.
Okay.
It's almost never the case.
Well, no, Sam. No, that's not entirely true. A lot of times in a lot of industries, the most visible artist usually
is the one with
the
the best
ones
PR.
doing really well.
No, you're not doing well. It's the one with
but
better
they're
PR.
doing really well.
There's artists whose music one is not exceptional, and their numbers, if you really look at their numbers, are not that great and everything. But then it feels like they're right in front of our faces because they have great PR and brilliant marketing. We are fooled a lot. Let me just say that we are fooled a lot as consumers in the industry, and sometimes I think ignorance, we allow ourselves to be fooled because it's easier. It's easier thinking about the most visible person is the one that's doing well than trying to figure out what's the difference between them and a niche artist, and why the niche artist could be performing better. And I don't know. I just think we're fooled.
Okay,
fooled easily.
So I get what you're saying in the sense that sometimes you can look at smaller artists, like an artist who is only making or has, like, let's say 60,000 monthly listeners, but they have a super engaged like audience, such that whenever they have shows or are selling merchandise or just selling this, that, and the third, like their 60,000 monthly listeners are buying into whatever it is they're selling. And therefore, you could find that this person with 60,000 monthly listeners is making way more money from their audience compared to an artist who has 1 million monthly listeners, because those 1 million monthly listeners might be just like social media, internet, like listens and that kind of thing, which doesn't really translate into success when we're talking about like monetary success, or just like even having those numbers at shows and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do get that, but then I mean, like if you're looking like at the American market, and I guess this gets us into the conversation of like how much is success on Spotify like an indicator of whether or not you're doing well like in the music industry, I guess. And I think in the Western market, like there's a correlation, right? There's a correlation when you see like The Weeknd, number one, or Bruno Mars, you know these guys are doing big things and stuff that.
Or even a recent example is when with the whole beef, Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. So Kendrick Lamar's what do you call, just skyrocket because of the success of that one song. So
of
over
what
there,
like us, yeah.
Over there, yeah. But here, if I bring it here, I don't know, man.
It doesn't correlate.
It doesn't correlate at all. Like it doesn't. Like you'd see people who you consider legends and who have released some really amazing music that has been the soundtrack to some people's lives, and they're on 5,000 monthly listeners. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't matter as much here. I think there's other metrics. I think in the West, just because there's so much of a structure, the numbers on these platforms they show more. There's more to show from the numbers than here, where first of all there's a few things wrong. One, Spotify is not really like or streaming. Let me put it streaming. Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, is not really like a major consuming factor, right? And also our art, the region in terms of the algorithms, there's probably something to do with that, where our algorithms don't necessarily push local music like that. Like how you'd find you'd just be randomly scrolling, or if you just shuffle like random new music, you'd find a lot of songs from America, a lot of songs from I don't know where. But then if someone else does that, there won't be a presence of our music in other markets, and that's due to the algorithms and whatnot. So with all of that, just and a bunch of other ones, all of that just contributes to our Spotify numbers not being high, and numbers in general, right, not being high. So it's not a metric that we it's not a metric that we use accurately. But question, do you think it's a metric that we should consider? I guess that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like if we're even looking at the Spotify like press release that Fiona Kumu was part of.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of Kenyans, it says 277% growth, like in terms of local listening to music in Spotify. It's growing highly. Although usually, sometimes I worry when things are growing, when they say things are growing like that fast. How do I explain this? Usually it means that it's a very small market, right? Because it could be that, like, if only 50 people were listening to music on Spotify and all of a sudden 200 people were listening, right? That's how I'm bad at math. How many percentages is that? That's like
you're bad at math.
Four times. That's like two. That's like a. That's like a 200% growth.
Is it?
Like
Sounds
in terms
right.
of whatever?
Let's go with that.
It sounds right. I might be wrong, but that's okay. Let's just assume that's like a 200% growth spurt, right? But it's still nothing, because only 200 people is very little. So even with the fact that we've had a 277% growth in listeners in Spotify, in the grand scheme of things, it might not mean much, because that number might still be small. So
yeah,
I just say this to say that, though I think it's still like a factor in terms of like gauging how successful an artist is in the Kenyan market, but I still don't think it's like that big of a factor. And the truth of the matter is, though, because like if we're talking about like now opportunities to, when we're looking at an artist, like in an overall, like a well-balanced artist, like a well-balanced meal, right? Usually you want an artist who can sell tickets to shows, can appeal through brand marketing, so therefore can also sell products, and do all this, that, and the third, right?
Yeah.
You're still not going to prioritize the like some of the names that we see doing really well on Spotify. Like some of the corporations or some of the people who are organizing events would still go for names like BN or Bensoul or whoever over like the names of the, I don't want to like single out people, but like the names of the people who do really well on Spotify, right? And there's a reason for that. So we're still very far away from a time when those numbers will and I think it's just because most of these like high streaming artists in the Kenyan industry on Spotify are getting those numbers internationally, which is a good thing, by the way. But it's when we're just talking about our local market, it's not a reflection of what's going on the ground, which is why I guess you'll have a lot of people saying Hatumjui.
But I don't know. I don't think artists here should focus on growing their Spotify numbers. Like while we're getting ready for the podcast, we were talking about just a simple thing like how mixing elevates your music so much, and wondering whether we're able to create music at some of the levels that we've seen on the outside. I think artists, if we spend time focusing on how to look popular rather than doing the things that actually make us popular, another critique I tend to have is, and I'm being less shy about, honestly, because I used to be shy about, because I don't want to sound like I'm being negative all the time. But then I feel like a lot of artists we have here are just a bunch of songwriters with a studio, and there's no real artistry behind them. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, they're not artists; they're just people who can record music, and I think we need to focus on all of that, because once you get the art right, the numbers are, if the art is good and it resonates with people, the numbers are going to follow. And the nature of art is it's going to resonate at least with one person, right? So I feel like
maybe you have to define exactly what you mean by artistry, because there are very what do you mean by artistry?
I'm talking about the music. I'm talking about like I'm speaking about a musician, an artist, musician, artist. Like, I'm talking about the songs you create. I'm talking about the videos you do. I'm talking about how you present yourself. It all is in one package of artistry. I think here we tend to focus on an artist being someone who makes music and releases music, and there's no depth to the artist.
Okay, then whose fault is that though? Because I wouldn't apportion all of the blame on the artist, in the sense that I think there are artists who have artistry, right? You look at the likes of Costa or Juang, or even what Fancy Fingers is doing right now, and him and Winyo, and they have that, like, for me anyway, like, they have an artistry. I think what's missing is that we still have a slight deficiency of resources to express our artistry at a high level. Maybe that's what I would think.
The examples you picked are examples of two people who are doing well, and I would say that that's not the majority of the field. I get the resources.
No.
Yeah, you picked some of the artists that are doing things well. You picked
okay, okay, fine.
Brilliant.
Let me give you another example. Like for Mr. Frank White, for example, right? You look at how he does his like visuals, like how he presents himself on social media and stuff like that. How he puts together like his shows and stuff. You can see that he has an artist's eye. Like, he's very, very creative in that regard, and he has good taste.
Well, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But then how many of, like, if you do a percentage, how many of the artists that we have out now are thinking about things in that way?
But it's unknowable. I'm saying that I feel like there's also a threshold where people do think like that. They just don't have the means to like do things at a high level. That's what I'm saying.
When you say do things at a high level, you're talking about the music and the videos and the visuals and everything.
Yeah, and just make themselves feel like an all-rounded, amazing artist like we see in the West.
It takes more.
That's my argument.
Yeah, but it's more than that, isn't it? It's
okay. But for example, like we were talking about like the whole mixing thing, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is our limitation? Do you think, okay, because people listen, like Kenyans listen to good music. We know what good music sounds like. So how come, like, when you listen to the majority of music that's put out, the mixing isn't great? Right? Do you think it's, me personally, I think it's a lack of resources, and then also a lack of specialization.
Yes, it's a lack of. I was going to bring up specialization. It's a lack of resources, and in other markets, there's people who are really skilled at high levels in terms of making just the sonics of the music, the sonics of the song, and making it sound good and making it translate, because that's what it's supposed to do, making it translate. And then there's also mastering in that aspect of it as well. Here it's the producer who recorded the song and knows a little bit about a compressor and reverb and puts it out, right? And so that affects the quality of the music. And you've argued against it, but I do think that the quality has a lot to do with how much the music is pushed to other markets. You've argued against that at some point, but
oh yeah, I have argued. I have argued against that at some point. Am I changing my mind? I'm not, because no, because there's still low quality music that ends up doing really well.
Yeah.
So I'm very torn. But it depends on the genre that you're trying to be in. Like, for example, if you're trying to like make high quality, like, or you're trying to replicate like high quality R&B, then your product has to be high quality for it to stand out against like the people who are doing R&B right now. You know what I mean? So it just depends on what space you're trying to like occupy.
That's the thing, and I think partly that's kind of where we suffer here is we don't have the resources to make the music that we're trying to emulate sound like the music we're trying to emulate, and that's
true.
That handicaps us, because now you have people making music, and we have good songwriters, we have good vocalists, we just haven't figured out a way to work them into that package that we've seen work so well in other markets. And I think that those are the things that we need to think about more, rather than figuring out who is, who has 5 million listeners and whether that's going to pay in a Kenyan market. Like, we're just so far behind, in my opinion. But that's not a negative thing. I think it's actually positive, because we know we have like a clear blueprint, sort of. We have a roadmap ahead of us, and with the internet and everything, it just makes information a lot easier, so we can get there quick. I don't know. We
can. So it's not a lost cause, but
not completely, no.
There's a long way to go.
Oh,
That's for sure.
long way. But yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about things that have long ways to go, bro.
What?
How tapped how tapped in are you in the hip hop scene?
I haven't. If I'm being honest with you, I haven't been. Let me say it's not as much as I used to. I haven't been as.
Do you think
it.
Your answer is the reason for this whole conversation we're about to have, which is coming up? But like, do you think that there's just been there's nothing interesting happening in the hip hop scene, and therefore
hip hop has fallen off, bro? It's fallen off.
Yeah, I think so. I think it has.
It's
like
fallen
Kenyan
off.
hip hop has fallen off a little bit.
Yeah, back then,
Genuinely.
man, it used to be like there was like we had like Blockbuster. Okay, Blockbuster is for film, but then we had the music equivalent to Blockbuster rappers and raps and songs that carried and traveled. Now hip hop has devolved into pop, like a segment of pop. Apart from like the clear subgenres that have distinctions, like that are distinct, like drill, for example. But then we just don't have it. I don't know. The hip hop scene is just very. It's almost. I don't want to say lifeless, but that's what it feels like. It feels like there's no life in it.
So you mentioned something important, drill. So the reason we're even having this conversation is because of Tella Wangeshi, who describes herself as a media maven. She writes articles. She's a journalist. She covers the Kenyan music industry, and she kind of has been having this conversation on Twitter today, and she says on Twitter, she put up a tweet saying, Najua hip hop fans were vexed, but kuna point hapa. She was replying to a tweet that said that hip hop in Kenya is stuck on like pointless beefs and stuff like that. Whole conversation. I think that might be based on the Sabiwu and Lil Minor beef that has been happening right now, which, by the way, I'm a child of divorce because I love both of those artists, but they're fighting. Why can't we all get along? Anyway, so Tella is like, the last time hip hop was alive was in 2022, the drill era. Apart from that, we have been struggling. I keep saying there are great hip hop acts out there, but we've refused to elevate the sound to a professional level. Apart from that, there is a huge gap between the successful and upcoming artists or rappers, sorry. Hip hop used to speak for the community. Right now, it's a bypass to get commercialized. It's so sad because Boutros was leading the shrap scene. Right now, we only have Jovi. Heavy words. And then she says, unfortunately, hip hop has been placed in the bottom seat where it receives little to no participation. Hakuna excitement kwa game. And then she goes on to say, ukweli ni hip hop imekataa kuevolve. That's why some of your favorite rappers still can't afford rent, food, clothes, and basic commodities. Strong words. And then she also says, what does she also say? Oh, namsikuje kuniambia, oh, kosokoso wakadinali, oh, Brida, oh, Mandy. These are the goats in the game, but who are the new faces of hip hop that are actually worth the hype? That can actually create witty bars and throw triple entendres that will blow our minds. Tunajam tukiambiwa ukweli, but we have little to no reigning hip hop acts that can catapult Kenya to South African hip hop. I am afraid even Nigeria is better than us at this point. These are strong words, man. And it's kind of true, bro, because I feel like I've been very disconnected from like the hip hop scene. Even like the trap scene, like there was a moment when the trap scene was like really like, you know, like with Kina Swahili Papi, Ekumbo, like they were doing their own stuff. It was very niche, but like I felt like there was something bubbling up. Then we had the sharp scene as well, you know, with Kina Groovy Joe, like obviously Jovi Jove, Boutros, Kina Asam Gavi, like all these guys, you know what I mean? Like it felt like something was happening. But right now, it feels like all that stuff has been overtaken by urban tone. And right now, I think it's not even a debate. The biggest thing that's going on right now is the unts scene. Like that seems to have
maybe
that kind of
maybe we're going to see
over.
some rappers on the floor. Maybe that's coming.
I don't know. Because bro,
Maybe
I'm not
that's
gonna
coming.
lie. Tella's point about right now the only things that are prevailing are the older names or the names that have been staples in the game for a while is kind of true. And I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not trying to throw shade, but maybe a little bit. But like you see, like the songs that come out recently, like right now there was a song I saw that came out today. I don't know if it came out today or it's just the video, but anyway, with it was King Kaka, Scam Cardinali, all those guys. And I'm just like, you know, these are guys who we've seen like for so many years, and we've been like, paying attention to these guys like a lot, right? And I okay, not to foreshadow, but even the song we're gonna play later in the podcast is still a name that has been around for a while. I don't wanna give a spoiler. We're just saying where's like the new like hip hop kids. I know we played like 30 the other day, Thalathini and YBW Smith.
Yeah.
And that's cool, but it doesnn't feel like there's a movement, like there's a tangible like.
It's not
hip-hop,
popular. Hip hop is not a popular medium, and I don't know. This is a parallel with the West, right? The hip hop culture is very, very influential in like the biggest music market, America, right? It's very influential. And your biggest artists are trying to get hip hop artists on their song. Maybe that's slowed down a little bit, but then I think it still does that till today. I'm trying to figure out whether the culture here just doesn't allow for that. Because and I get her point, because you could have a very valid critique to her point, where it's like you're looking at the general population and looking and expecting to see hip hop dominate there. But then she's like, hip hop, we have very talented hip hop artists, very good rappers, songwriters and everything, but then we've not spent they're not spending the time elevating hip hop to a place where it can be accepted by the masses. Hip hop is right now just not being accepted by the masses. Drill wasn't going to do that. Drill had a very small
window
and what's my term, influence, like its sphere of influence was, I feel like would have been much lower, and so there were other subsets. But then hip hop has the ability to dominate culture, just in the nature of what it is. I think I just feel like
and I'm gonna say this right now, we wouldn't get there when people like Calligraph are releasing albums like the ones that came out. I'm sorry.
But no, see, I don't want to go out on the ledge with you, but then it is true. Like the quality, we need to pay attention, and it goes back to the conversation we were having about just everything surrounding the music and trying to get to a higher level, and rather than focus on things like numbers and popularity and all that business. We don't have artists. We don't have artists who are really thinking about elevating hip hop, and if we do, they are pretty quiet. So she has a point.
So how do we? So how do? So we need. So what we need is like, we need new kids who are entrenched in that lifestyle, and then we need to build movements around them. Because even when you look at like how
culture, not imitating. I don't think an imitation would do that well.
Maybe borrowing. Well, not imitation for sure, but like borrowing, because like everything is borrowed at the end of the day. Also, you know what I mean. And everyone is influenced or inspired from something. Because even when the Sharp movement was coming, I mean, even in its name, it's something that is a combination of Sheng and trap music or whatever. So I'm just saying, like, I do agree with you. It needs to be steeped in culture, but we need a movement. Because even back in the day, when Kina Musau and Boutros were super hungry and all they wanted to do was make it, you know, they created ADF, they started having Shrap nights, and they had events, and like it felt like something was happening. Maybe that's what we need. We need like the new kids kind of congregating, making a name of this movement and having shows and doing stuff like that. And then seeing what happens. Because even like the Kilimani rappers, for example, when you look at Kina Sabiu and Corbs and Oma Mafegi and all these guys, like even them, I feel like their movement has slowed down, because it's like, you know, people grow up and then their interests like start to divulge, and maybe they don't have time to like be doing events together like all the time, right? So we need young kids who have all the time in the world to congregate at places and push a movement, and then we can see what we can do with that and grow it from there, you know. Because right now, Tella is right. Like the hip hop scene is like, it's not the focus anymore, man. Like if you ask me, I wanna make like Gengetone, urban tone beats or R&B beats or whatever. Like I never feel the urge to like, ooh, I want to sit down and make a trap beat because like there's this one artist I really, really want to work with. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when your producers are not inspired to make like even me, I can't remember the last time I felt inspired to make a drill beat, for example, you know, and that's how you know that like a movement is dying. Because back in the day I used to be like, bro, I'm gonna make like drill beats, I'm gonna send them to Kina Brooklyn Boys, see what happens. Right now I have no such like feeling.
No, we're pulling out, pulling out drums, like actual a drum set, trying to get it. You know what I'm thinking?
Yeah, bro.
So it just crossed my mind like, or do we need to get back to the type of rap that we're seeing with Akina Gidi Gidi Maji Maji, and because that's the kind of rap that really did well, and it transcended a genre. So I wonder whether the subgenres that we're working with in rap today are just really niche and it doesn't translate. I feel like
maybe.
Yeah.
And I think that could be potentially the answer, because we're still in an era where like the Gen Z and Gen Alpha that are coming up that are making music now that's trending and popular are still looking to the past for influence, right? So maybe that could be the answer, to kind of see how to incorporate those older styles and make them a thing today. So that could be the thing. That could be a thing. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, Chief, but let's bring back hip hop, man. Because, like, bro, it's like so cool. Like, I feel like nowadays it's not cool to be like
it's
hip
not
hop
cool to be a
anymore.
rapper. I mean, it's always cool to say, "Oh, I'm a rapper." But then it's not cool to like. No one wants to jump on your hip hop track with you.
No one wants to do that anymore.
And all the rappers are doing
it's right now.
That's the problem.
Exactly. Or we're in the Afropop era, you know, everybody right now is trying to be like Watenda Willie or whatever. And this isn't a knock on that. We're just like, as people who love like hip hop and stuff like that, feeling like, wow, we also want this genre to do well. And so I understand Tala's like, I understand where she's coming from. And yeah, man.
Something needs to be done. Rappers probably just need to like vex and just start going crazy and revive it. It's up to the ones within the genres to revive it themselves. Like the consumers can't revive hip hop for them because at some point we're going to run out of like quality hip hop to listen to, and then what do we do?
Or maybe we just need more talent searches.
Yeah. Like Gorilla Academy. Oh, jeez. This is crazy. Like Gorilla Academy. So, I mean, Gorilla Academy is I guess, one of the initiatives that King Kaka was trying to get hip-hop back alive. I don't know whether that was his main goal, but then I think it's probably a goal of his. And he's on the panel for another talent show, but this one is not hip-hop. I mean, this one is not rapping. This is just singing. And it's called The Next Superstar. It's just now that I'm noticing the name. It's called Next Superstar. Afam.
Very creative.
Let's do a name review.
Hey, straight to the point.
Next Superstar.
It's straight to the point. Yeah. It describes what it's. Bro, I like it. Because listen, to be honest, if you look at Gorilla Academy, you wouldn't know like that's what
it's about.
Like, what
it almost
it's about.
When you hear Gorilla Academy, you probably think military.
Exactly.
But right? Next Superstar is just on the nose.
On the nose. Oh, man. I love it. No beating around the bush.
Talent search. This designed to discover and nurture the next generation of entertainment stars across the country and the continent. It's going to be premiering on the 3rd of May. Set to premiere on the 3rd of May. Which means, are they already shooting it? I don't know. I don't know whether they're doing things like that. It's going to air exclusively on Rainbow TV and Rainbow Plus. I'm pretty sure you have no idea what channels those are. Who watches? Do we watch TV really? They should figure out a way to put it on social media because no one is watching TV that much these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hosted by celebrated personalities, Eddie Butita and Amina Rabar. Judging panel will be...
Oh my God! Wait,
what?
Is that how the word celebrity came to be? Celebrated personalities.
On today's episode of Afam Discovers the Meaning of Words.
I am today
Mind
years
blown, right?
old when I found out that's
today
what?
Old.
That's how it came. What?
Yeah, human beings are not complicated. Yeah, so the panel will feature King Kaka, size 8, Reborn. The Reborn at the end of a name always, I don't know, rub me the wrong way. Size 8 Reborn and Motif the Dawn. So, yeah, but I mean, it's a singing competition. So, an investment of 100 million was put into it. And then 18 contestants, and the prices are over 1 million shillings. I don't know what the prices are going to be though. I hope it's not contracts because those never go well. Every time I hear contracts that have come from TV shows, they never go well, unfortunately. Mentorship will be offered exposure and an opportunity to launch careers nationally. So yeah, that's the next superstar. It will be coming up. It's something to look forward to. I guess for artists who want to try their hand at this, I think it's a good avenue. It's a good avenue, and it solves one of the problems, which is putting yourself out there. So you can really get a head start, even if you don't win. In fact, I think some people get on this type of shows not necessarily to win it, but then
but for the exposure.
For the exposure. So yeah. But like Gorilla Academy, my eyes will be on it to see, because I'm a producer and I need to steal some artists as well.
Sure, man. Got that in our ear working.
Yeah. Shout out to King Kaka. Really.
Shout out to King Kaka, man. Okay. Do you wanna get into new music?
Let's do it. Let
me start, because I feel like I always rely on you to start. So okay.
Go ahead.
So
wait.
New music.
Pause. Okay, you're starting, right? But you're going to start with Safari. What did you think? Because we talked about it last week. And it finally came out.
That's So okay. So here's my thing. So it first came out and I was unsure. That's the word I can use. I was unsure about how I felt about it because of the. It's like Bien's vocal sounded very like. It kind of threw me off. I was like, I don't understand what's happening. But then something miraculous started to happen, like after 3 days of the song being out. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, this could be something. On day 4, I was like, let me watch the video. On day 5, I'm like, wait, I actually really like this song. And I don't know why, but there's something, it really just has grown on me. Like there's something very catchy about it. And Sam and I were trying to decipher, where is that melody from? That melody is something very familiar,
it
man.
Sounds
like we know this melody.
Sounds like something I've heard before with different words on it.
That's what I've been trying to figure out, man. So my verdict, 1, I like the video, and 2, I actually like the song. I genuinely like the song, and I can't wait for Alusa Continua.
I'm still not convinced that's. I don't know. We'll wait to see it. If that's the actual name of his project.
You're not convinced, but that's a genius name for.
Oh,
no, that's a genius name, bro. That's a genius name for a project, man.
Oh, man.
Why don't you like it?
It's not that I don't like it. It's not that I don't like it. Don't do that. Don't put me in that spot. I'm just not convinced that that's the name of the project. That's all I have to say.
Okay, well, shout out to Bien, and like we said in the podcast last week, big moves, because that's a huge market. So yeah, let's see how that goes. There was True Love by Charisma. Shout out to him. Smokey Pasua by Tesla and Ben Soul also came out. I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little bit let down by the production quality in that song. Like, I just didn't feel like they both put their best foot forward. So it's unfortunately not a song that I'm going to go back to. But which is crazy, especially because I'm a huge Tesla fan. Like, bro, Sam knows I love Tesla's music. So that came out. There was Cheche by Saru, Chino Kid, and VJ Chris. That also came out, so shout out to them. This song I really enjoyed, Nyar Homabe by Elisha Wasaga and Ochiko. Bro, we're in such an Afro-pop era, like, and just like, I don't know, this era we're in is really cool as well. I know we miss hip-hop, but this era is also really nice. Let me see. Let me not finish all the songs for you. Also, I listened to Hype Song by Njiru. Super alternative. If you guys are into alternative stuff, definitely check that out. So yeah, shout out to Njiru for that. Very creative. And the last song I guess I'll say would be Okay with My Heart by Gil Bokobza and Tina Ardor. More like electronic Afro dance house music. I don't know what the genre is, but yes, that.
Fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wait! No! And the last one. Sorry. Oh my God. So how could I forget? And the very Kenyan Pink Panthers released a song called Stateside. Stay inside, bro. It's the best song ever. What do you mean? Why do you want to brush? What do you want to brush over? American hot boy, you can be my American hot.
The other people who release music, Nazizi.
Sorry. Okay.
As this is a jobbed guy, Fafa. It's interesting that she still releases as I like to see it. I like to see all the older people release music. And trying to figure out what they're doing with it. Tanasha Donna released Waterfalls, which for me is, I think, is the best I've heard from her, at least. And she sounds good. It's almost like that. It's almost along that Tyler lane, which I think could suit her. So. Shout out to that. Speaking of Idd Aziz, I think how many songs had Idd Aziz this week? Shetemba and Peppo, by a bunch of different artists. But he did release Saint Ivo as well. Released Sondela, which I liked. I haven't seen Umoja Sounds for a while, but they're here with Yaya. Umoja Sounds and Peace Jolies and Mex Cortez dropped a song called Yaya. Alo is a Nigerian artist. He released a song called Settle Down that features Fancy Fingers. Fancy Fingers was playing guitars on them. And shout out to Fancy Fingers too, who just released his...
Bro, sorry to interrupt, but phenomenal song. That song with Alo and Fancy Fingers is really good.
Yeah. And he just released his line of guitars, which is a very interesting way to go, but that's cool. Just shout out to him. Yeah. I hope that does
Jawaya. Well. Bro, I think he's really innovative. Fancy Fingers. I really, really respect like his I don't know. He's one of those guys
who do something different for sure. He's trying to do something different, and I like to see it.
And he comes off as an artist.
I like to see it.
You know what I mean? Like an artist.
Yeah. So that's the artist you are talking about, is it?
Yeah.
Speaking of hip hop, I want to highlight Siogopi by Caterpillar. Caterpillar is one of the rappers who I have my eyes on. I had the opportunity of meeting him a while ago at a studio session of one of my friends, and he's I don't know. He seems like one of the guys who is, I guess, low-key, like he loves rap. So this is the kind of people I think would be the ones to carry forward the genre. Yeah, that's about what I listen to, man. I don't know if there's anything else major.
Did you shout out Mbuzi by Bridget Blue?
I did not, but I did enjoy the song. Enjoyed it so much that I'm working on a remix for it. But yeah, Bridget Blue is another artist. No, Bridget Blue is another artist that I would like to, because it does seem like she's doing more. You know, it seems like she's definitely doing more. I just feel like it's one to watch too. But then she's the kind of artist who I wish like would get that total package behind her, and just to see like the kind of the kind of product like she'd put out. But yeah, shout out to her. Shout out to all the artists who are releasing music consistently. Congratulations to you guys.
Yes, sir. And for me, I guess, like I foreshadowed earlier in the podcast, the song that actually stood out to me was Rampage by Brida LW. Bro, that song is so hard, and the beat is actually really unique. And it's just the way he was running. Tupa, count as a tupa. Like that's what is that? Staccato. What's that? What is Sam? Please help me. I'm so bad at like my music terms and definitions.
I'm so sorry. What are you trying to? I can't help you.
I'm saying you know the way the interesting way in which Breeder was rapping on Rampage.
Yeah.
That what's that? Like that's like a staccato, like
Staccato. Oh,
I
that
don't
was
know. It's just
staccato.
hard.
Oh. Did you say
Yeah,
staccato?
what is that? No, why would I say Sakaja?
That's what I heard. I heard you say staccato. I think that's staccato.
Staccato.
Some form of staccato, I guess. Oh, it's rhythm. It's rhythm, bro. I don't know.
No,
That's
it's
rhythm.
not Sakaja.
Oh, all right.
But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. It's just hard. And then he dropped like a lyric video on YouTube, and I'm really loving the artwork as well. So yeah, man, Breeder, man, really tough, really tough. Bro, we need more hip hop stuff. We need more kids making new hip hop stuff as well. But anyway, that aside, Sam, I'd love to play the song Rampage by Breeder LW for the end of the podcast.
Tuko Rampage, utastuka weni nani sikujui unachujwa tupa koneza tupa mikono rusha juu ruka tuko Rampage, utastuka weni nani sikujui unachujwa nimepandisia majodo mbili utat 2011 sikuwa na Supra ikienda sana Masaunya fast camera wadhi ni mtumba mizo za solo nikipewa fursa nikiona yujo niko na booster tuko fula skiza news flash nina maayela wana anakuchura ubongi pake sielewi yo lugha nganya ni mboko inadunda mbio mbaya tunarusha rushwa fika emba pitia lunga kasi senke basi skuta silali stenje bail chuna Lakeside breeze tuko dunga leta rechna mboga leta suga Aisha Zuhura Coastal buddies miukula doza BNB nishatuma nenda missing juu ya kuna shagla itakipupa sala na bidii kujituma bedsit atenjeni aukma uko na shura na umekosa ndula itajipa wezidi kuskuma ilikuwa kalesadi mta no school van nilishika Prado gari kubwa leta underation unavurugwa flow ni nare adisia coolant mkia ni matunda star player kaolunga unavuva sana sutachoma nyumba Kenya akunaga shortage ya gunga tiktika Nairo sikulangi sambusa joata Bama wanauzanga punda ukiaminia ineza kuwa manifesting dili ya Puma siezi beef na waliovuma tuliwapita na tulitoka nyuma nenda extra mile for the mula lazima tuose mai tupa kauneza tu tuko Rampage, utastuka tupa, koneza tupa kono rusha, juu ruka utastuka, weni nani sikujui.
That was Rampage by Breeder LW. What a song, man. It's so hard, bro. It makes me wanna like
You're
know
not
what
going to be doing any of that. And I don't know what you mean. You're not going to be doing any of that at all.
Anyway, shout out to you guys as always for listening to the podcast, and shout out to you, Sam, for being an amazing co-host. That was episode 128. For the end of the podcast, if you're new here, I usually like to end with the 3 C's, which is kind of like a mantra that I'm telling myself or trying to teach myself how to become better at being an artist. And the first C is confidence. You need to be confident in your work because confidence is what sells, you know. That confident is what you radiate to the people, and the people will receive that and they'll be like, you know what, I'm going to listen to more of this guy's music. Number 2, consistency. You have to be consistent in both the creation of your work and its release, because if you are not consistent in a world where so many people are releasing art and being creatives and doing all this, that, and the third, you will get drowned out and lost. So if you're not consistent, you will suffer. And number 3, craft. Always work on your craft. Every day, try and a lot. Even if it's only 5 minutes to your work, because those 5 minutes at the end of the year will add up and they'll be very, very important. You can learn something life-changing in 5 minutes. It's possible. And yeah, those are the 3 C's, which, I'm not perfect at, but I'm trying to improve. So yeah, Sam. Yeah. Do you have anything for them in the
No.
podcast?
No, man. We'll be back. We'll be back with some more.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, we will be back. Oh, that's not what
He
said.
didn't say it
says,
like
"I'll
that.
Be back."
He did say it like that. Oh God, you butchered that. You ruined it. Arnold
I did
Schwarzenegger,
ruin
people.
it.
You ruined it.
I did ruin it. Like I added my own flavor, which actually you could say is better. I added to the legend that is
Sure.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger, wherever he is, I'm sure he's just feeling like an aura, an energy of like, wow,
Let's end.
something.
Let's end the podcast because I feel like as you go, you're going to start talking crazy. All right, man. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Aye, man, we're out. We'll see you on episode 129. Goodbye.